There? Hi everyone, I'm Meredith Abbott and welcome to Sur La Table. Today I'm going to be making a classic iceberg wedge salad, perfect for a steak night or any summertime meal. For this recipe, you'll need chives, cherry tomatoes, bacon, lemon, sour cream, mayonnaise, buttermilk, blue cheese, and a head of iceberg lettuce. The first step for this recipe is to crisp bacon. I have a large stainless steel skillet that I'm going to preheat with medium heat. I have my bacon that's been cut into strips. Into the pan it goes. Spread it out and stir it often until all of the fat has rendered out and the bacon has crisped. It'll take about 6 minutes. Okay, so my bacon is almost done, and how I know when it's done is that it has shrunk down, so it's rendered a lot of its fat. As you can see, there's a lot of fat in this pan now. It's getting golden brown, and it's all pretty even in color as well. Once it starts to turn golden brown, it's gonna go very fast, so keep your eyes on your bacon. I'm gonna turn my heat off, because I'm very happy with this, and I'm going to scoop out my bacon with a slotted spoon, draining it on paper towels. Okay, moving on. My bacon is crisped. Now I'm going to make the dressing. So before I get started, I'm going to quickly mince some chives. These are beautiful long chives. I'm just going to stack them together with their cut end. I'm going to nip those off just because they get to be a little dried out once they're cut. Going to thinly slice these, very carefully keeping my fingertips out of the way. Super sharp knife. I love this French style chef's knife because I can get a really wonderful rocking motion, which makes my slicing a breeze. Work your way through. Going to gather these up, add them to my bowl. And now I'm just going to add everything, stir it together. So I have my sour cream, crumbled blue cheese. Look at that, it's beautiful. Lots of flavor. Buttermilk. We'll thin it out and give it some really nice tangy flavors to it. A little bit of lemon juice, freshly squeezed. And I'm going to take a whisk to bring this together. Super simple, a few ingredients. This is your like steakhouse blue cheese dressing. You could make a big batch of this, keep it in your refrigerator. I'm going to now taste and adjust the seasoning with salt and pepper. Doesn't need much. There's a lot of flavor already in the mayonnaise, in the sour cream, and in the buttermilk. So it's just adding a little bit of salt and a little bit of cracked black pepper just to really bring it all together. And this is going over raw iceberg lettuce. We'll have no seasoning and cherry tomatoes, so this should be pretty heavily seasoned. I've got my dressing ready, I've got my bacon ready, and now it's time to move on to getting my lettuce and cherry tomatoes prepped out. All right, now it's time to assemble the salad. First, need to take the core out of the iceberg. This part I think is actually kind of fun. So this cut side, you're going to whack it against your cutting board pretty hard. And what that does is just helps release this core, and then it just pops right out. You can discard this, you don't want it. So now I'm just gonna flip this over, so cut side down, cut this into quarters, trying to keep it intact in its wedges as much as possible. So if that means you need to take your 2 halves and flip them over, feel free. And now we have our wedges. I'm just gonna line these up on a nice big platter. This would be how you would serve it family style. You could also put these on individual plates if you wanted to. There you go, like so. Now I'm going to have about a pint of cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, whatever you can find that are tasty and juicy. The iceberg's kind of bitter and crunchy, and the tomatoes also will give some texture, but also a little bit of sweetness. So there's a lot of different flavors and balance in this salad for being so simple and so few ingredients. It's kind of the beauty of this salad. It's why it was popular way back in the day in steakhouses, and it's coming back in a big way. And do a few more. The salad's great because you can build it as you're done with your ingredients. This looks about good for me. So you're just going to take your tomatoes, kind of sprinkle them on and around your wedges. If you really like tomatoes and it's the heart of tomato season, add more. But about a pint for 4 servings works out pretty perfectly. Okay, I've got my tomatoes on my iceberg. I cut a few more just to sprinkle over the top for an extra little pop of color. So I'm gonna move these out of the way. I'm going to slice the rest of my chives also for garnish. Nice and thin, keeping those fingertips out of the way. You could also use shears, kitchen shears for this if you'd like. Okay, I'm gonna gather up my chives, move them off to the side. I'm just going to leave them on my bench scraper. Now it's time to assemble. All right, beautiful wedges. I've got a little ladle, my dressing. I just like to kind of go right over the middle of all the wedges. Like so. Divide it out as equal as you can on the first pass, and then you can divide out any little remnants that's in your bowl over top, where you think of one of your wedges is a little lighter than the others. Like so. There we go. Looks lovely. Now I'm going to crumble my bacon over. So putting the dressing down first is going to help the bacon stick to the lettuce. So I've got my cooked, drained, now super crispy bacon. I'm gonna just break it up just a little bit as I sprinkle over top. It's kind of like a BLT salad. Like so. If you don't eat pork bacon, you can always substitute with turkey bacon or great vegetable substitutions as well. This is the salty bit of your salad. Okay, now for the chives. I like to sprinkle from up top, gets better coverage. Nice pop of color. This is also going to add a little bit of onion flavor. Again, balance. Beautiful. And now I'm just going to add a few of these cut cherry tomatoes back just on top. Again, presentation, will you eat with your eyes first? Pop a couple of those kind of around, stick them onto the dressing. Just so you see some red up on top of the dressing. And for one little finishing piece, I'm gonna crack a little bit more black pepper on top. I like a lot of cracked black pepper. So from up high, just gonna do a couple cracks over each one. Another just little finishing sprinkle of salt. Get some salt on those tomatoes and on that lettuce. And there you have it. A classic iceberg wedge salad. Enjoy. For recipe videos, cooking classes, and more, visit surlatab.com.